how it works. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ava Bella, and today in these movie reviews, plural, we are doing more than one. As you can see from the title, it is the Final Destination movies. And we are doing this because of the 6th movie that is coming out this Friday. This is Monday. The day I'm recording is Monday the 12th. I want to make that clear because I am going to be going over a theory I have for the 6th movie. I'm going to say it in the 2nd movie because it kind of all ties together in the 2nd movie. So I am going to be talking about a theory that my friend and I have kind of been tossing around. And I think I found some things that kind of confirm that theory. So I have no idea if the theory is true or not, but after rewatching the 2nd movie, I think it's going to be pretty not cemented, but probably probably plausible. My friend does kind of go on the Reddits and stuff like that and kind of like look at fan theories. I don't want to do that because I don't want to have any kind of preconceived ideas going in other than what are already my own. If that makes sense. Oh my god, that sounded so pretentious, didn't it? So yes, right now, we are doing something a little different. As you could tell, I am very old and ugly today because I have no makeup on. There's a reason for that. The reason being is that with these movie reviews, I am going to be doing a certain character's death. There we go. A certain character's death. And I feel like the ones that I have in mind are not that hard to figure out once you see where I'm starting to do the makeup. So, but if you guys would like to comment down below the timestamp at which you think which character I'm doing, hopefully that made sense, go ahead and feel free. I would love to see your guys' guesses. It is going to be correlating with each movie. So with movie review 1, I'm going to be doing a movie review from, like, I'm going to be doing a character's death from the first movie. So we're not going to be like jumping around. So it's not going to be that hard to figure out. But yeah, you know, like I mentioned in my Buttercream Gang movie, I used to love doing like little horror makeup, and I am an amateur. I am not good at this stuff. You know, I have this soft glam foundation for, you know, makeup stuff. So it's not going to be perfect, but I hope you guys have fun with it because I'm probably going to have fun with it too. So without further ado, grab your massive ass snack for this massive ass review. I also want to mention that I have no blood. You know, fake blood. I have no fake blood. And it is not Halloween, so I can't run down to the local Walmart and buy some. So I am going to try this kind of idea that I have with blush, this like e.l.f. creamy blush that I actually did for my Buttercream Gang review. That's what the red spots were on my face. I'm going to be trying that to kind of get the consistency of blood and some food coloring mixed with some other stuff that kind of makes it look a little bit more real, and hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't, don't come for me, okay? I'm working with gelatin and food coloring dye, okay? I also only have one makeup brush. I have sponges, so that'll work, but I honestly have one makeup brush. Alrighty, Final Destination, the first of many Final Destinations. This movie starts off with the camera panning around the room and showing, you know, different books that our main character Alex has. Ooh, that is the wrong color. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Plus, we see the most deadly of all of the appliances in a house, the fan. I swear, this fan makes an appearance more than half of the characters of this movie does. I think we see this fan at least 15 times in the opening credits alone. Not to mention the other times that we do see it throughout the movie. Well, I didn't like that. I'm cooking a crock-pot dinner and I just heard it go dunk. And doing these movie reviews kind of has me on edge. I'm sure it's fine. So this is our main character, Alex. He's reading a lot of things already revolving around death because every book that is shown is revolving around death or deathly things. So I'm curious as to what he reads in his free time. Probably stuff about the Roman Empire.
Oh, mama, you gotta leave that on. Yeah, it's like, you know, Tay made the last flight without the plane crashing or anything, so I figured it's got to be on the bag, or at least with the bag. For luck.
Where would you get a nutball idea like that?
You just killed your son. So these movies do have a habit, and if you've seen these movies, you will know what I'm talking about. These movies do have a habit of making everyday things and sayings kind of seem spooky and ominous and like the last thing you're ever gonna hear.
Live it up, Alex. You got your whole life ahead of you.
like that's something that people say, you know, because it's true. Like you definitely should live it up when you're a teenager, when you're young and in your 20s or whatnot. Because as you do get older, it does get harder to do those things. So that's not an unusual thing to say, but of course this movie has to make everything like that saying, like, live it up, Alex. You have your whole life ahead of you, as like this, but do I? I mean, in Alex's case, no, he doesn't. I like to use my finger to blend. That's actually how I do my eyeshadow in all of my movie reviews. There's a reason I only have a brush, because I actually do a lot with my fingers. That fucking fan. So we are at the airport and we get a glimpse of Clear Rivers. Yes, her name is Clear, not Claire. It is Clear. And her name does hold significance as far as... I did have to look it up because I figured it did. Her name holds significance because Clear Rivers kind of is like clear waters ahead. Like, you know, you can see clearly and, you know, the future is not so murky and... whatever. She's... Okay, Clear is my favorite character. I just want to put that out there now. I love Clear. Especially in the second one. She definitely is a take charge kind of person. However, she's a little crazy. In a normal situation, she is a little crazy in the first movie. And I never really understood the relationship that she and Alex eventually develop. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I won't go too far ahead, but we'll get to it. So we get a glimpse of Clear, and you know, she's one of those special girls that can read and walk at the same time. Have any of you ever read and walked at the same time? I tried to because I thought I would be one of those types of girls. Oh, poor, sweet, innocent me in the past, you know, 15, 20 years ago. You know, I thought I'd be like, I can do this. I can read and walk and act like I don't care. No, honey, you cannot. No, you cannot. You cannot read and walk and understand and pay attention at the same time. You cannot. Show me a person who can do that. Show me a video of them in an airport, mind you, in a freaking airport. Show me a person reading, comprehending what they're reading, not bumping into anybody, and doing all of that at the same time. It can't be done. It can't be done. I refuse. Ooh, too much blue. Oh no. Maybe we can make it work. Maybe. She is also super, super smart because she's not like other girls.
Excusez-moi, écoutez, qu'est-ce que c'est l'annonce?
What the fuck's he want?
The airport does not endorse solicitors.
We are taking it slow with the alcohol today. We are having Smirnoffs. I actually don't like this one. I'm excited to try... I saw these in the store. I'm excited to try this this creamsicle one, but that one's like a Cosmo. It's all right. It's not my favorite. It's a little too sour for me.
Alex, let's go take a shit. We're about to board a 7-hour flight, if that. Now let's say halfway through the flight, right? Your body wants that airplane food out, like directly after you walks in. Krista or Blake, do you want them to associate you with that watery sting?
You know, he has a point about the watery stings. I have been there. So we are shown them getting on the plane. And again, everyday things become spooky. You know, in planes, there is a final destination. And things do say terminal on them. I don't know where they got the name terminal, like as far as like, you know, planes in general where they got terminal from, but you know, there are terminals. But again, this movie really wants to point out that you should be on the lookout every day for spooky things. The whole point of this movie is that Alex gets on the plane and he sees the plane explode. And this plane explosion, I didn't know if you guys knew this. I didn't know this until I was kind of like doing some mini research on the movies themselves because I was curious. I said, was this actually based on a real plane explosion? Like, was this based on a real tragedy that happened? And loosely, it was loosely based on a real, I think it was an engine failure that happened in 95. And I believe this movie came out in 2000. Yeah, this movie was released in 2000. So it was very loosely based on that tragedy. But since then, they have found ways to detect that kind of thing. And so for all of you people that fear planes, they now have checks to make sure that doesn't happen, which is me. I am one of those people. I fear planes. I don't want to go on a plane ever again. And I've been on planes since I have seen this movie. So it's not, you know, this movie that gave me the fear. I don't know what it is. I used to go on planes all the time. And then randomly I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't know what happened. So yeah, we get to the plane explodey part. And because he is causing a ruckus, this guy, Carter, I actually like Carter. I like Carter a lot. This guy, Carter, is angry about it. I don't remember why. He's just like, I don't know, he's just kind of that jockey guy who's like, hey Alex, you better settle down or I'm gonna settle down for you. And Alex is like, I'm leaving, I'm getting off the fucking plane. Like, that's not funny. He's like, I know it's not funny, like, I'm getting off this damn plane.
Because you didn't fucking plane's gonna explode! Shut up, Brownie.
You're so not funny.
Damn it! We will remove you from this aircraft. I'll remove you. Fuck you, I'll remove myself!
So he being Alex, is kicked off by security, and so is Carter, because Carter was trying to fight him. Alex really wasn't trying to fight him at all, but, you know, they're all taken off by security, along with some other people that got caught in the crossfire, and Clear, I think, is the only one that voluntarily, well, aside from Todd, who voluntarily gets off of the plane with Alex. So yeah, so I think it was 7 people got off of the plane, whether it be for unruliness or what have you. It's actually kind of hard to talk and do this at the same time. I'm really trying. And so as they're getting kicked off the plane, they are a high school class. I forgot to mention that. They are a high school class. So it's 40, we learn later on that it is 40 people, well, probably 47 because of the ones that did get off, but there's about 40 students on there. And so, you know, after this commotion, the teachers are like, oh my God, we have to go, like, make sure that, you know, everything is okay. And so one of the teachers gets off. Well, both teachers get off, but because this teacher actually knows French, she makes him get back on because it's like, you know French. I don't know French. I'm just going on here for like a Frenchy vacation type of thing.
Line's not taking this very well. They'll let one of us back on. The rest of us can take an 11:10 flight. It gets in 3 hours later. It's all right.
I'll stay.
No, you know the whole French thing. Get on the plane. It's fine. It's fine.
And she says that the airline is not taking it very well and they'll only allow one of us back on, which is why both of them don't go. Ma'am, I believe the airline is taking it very well, considering a person saying this plane is gonna blow the fuck up. I think they're taking it very well. Because in a real situation, they would have shut the whole plane down, have done a thorough inspection on it, even back then, even back in the 90s, they would have done a thorough inspection on it to make sure nothing was gonna happen. So yeah, they're actually taking it underly well, if you ask me. Making it a little more gruffy. Death is not neat, death is gruffy. So they stay behind, and sure enough, Alex's prediction comes true.
Plane! You fucking brat! Oh shit!
And the the plane becomes nothing more than dust in the wind. All we are is dust in the wind. So then everyone who is saved is questioned by these two guys, who is supposed to be the FBI. Now, I'm actually not even really going to bother with them as far as this movie review goes, only because they don't make an appearance in the other movies, for one. There is a cop in the second one, but he was supposed to die in the premonition of that catastrophe. He's just tagging along to provide his cop privileges for the plot. So I'm not gonna. So point being, I'm not gonna go too much into these two FBI agents, only because they kind of ultimately they just follow Alex because they think that he might have either something to do with the plane accident, and when he doesn't, they're suspicious because once people start dying off, he's always at the scene. So they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, they're just tailing him, but ultimately it doesn't really lead to much of anything, and we are on a time limit here. I don't want to be sitting here for 4 hours, even though I'm probably going to be anyway. So some time passes, and what this movie not this one in particular, what the movies love to do is make some kind of passage of time, because especially towards the end, and I mentioned this later, there's always like 6 months later at the end of every movie, at least until the third one, because I haven't rewatched the fourth or fifth yet, at least until the third one, there's always like 6 months later, 5 months later. This movie loves the passage of time. And I wonder if that is a thing just to make the characters feel safe, even though they're not really safe, you know what I mean? So anyway, so some time passes, and they are at a memorial for all the students and the one faculty member who died. So during that whole thing, during the memorial service, there are only certain people that are going up to put a flower, except for this lady. She goes up twice. She wanted to put extra roses on the memorial. So yeah, I just have to wonder, like, why are certain people going up to the memorial over others? Because a lot of people are just sitting around. Because at first I thought it was just the survivors that were going up first, which would make sense. You know, they saw it happen. It would make sense that they would be first. But no, a bunch of random people start going up, and I don't know the order. I might need to get the gelatin out. I was hoping I didn't need to bring the gelatin out yet, but I might need to just make it a little bit more oomphy. So yeah, so they are at the memorial, and Todd and Alex used to be BFFs, best friends 5 forever. 5 forever. Yep, that's what I said, and I'm sticking to it. One thing that happens is that Todd promises that... Okay, so I forgot to mention, Todd's brother was on the plane. It's a very short scene, and I actually didn't even remember it until I rewatched this movie. Todd's brother was on the scene, and so because of that, Todd's parents are like very wary of Alex. They're like, we don't want you hanging around this boy because he could possibly save your life again. I guess. You know, they're just, you know, they're going through it, as, you know, probably all of us as parents probably would be after one of our sons dies. And, you know, under the circumstances, we probably would all be like, I don't want you hanging around him because, this is scary, you know? It is a little bit frightening if someone predicts a fucking plane crash. And it happens, you know, you would automatically think that they would have something to do with it, even though they were cleared. Like, you know, we're like, I don't care. Like, it makes sense. But yeah, so Todd is like, hey, once my parents kind of grieve and everything for my brother, we're totally gonna hang out. Like, you know, we should go to, I think it was a baseball game. We should totally go to a baseball game. So yeah, so it's after the memorial that we see a bunch of stuff that Alex is reading. And I mean, it's no different than what he was reading before. Now he's reading about plane disasters. He's gotten away from the Roman Empire. Guys, it is possible to get away from the Roman Empire. And now he's reading about plane crashes. The natural progression of things, I guess. So he's reading these books, and you know, that makes sense. He's trying to make sense of what happened. That I understand. So we jump to I was about to say Scott, wrong movie. We jump between Todd and Alex, and we start to get these spookinesses with Todd. And this is, if you have seen the Final Destination movies, you will understand that between movies, at least 1 through 2, I honestly right now cannot remember if it happens in 3 as much, but it is very prominent in movies 1 through 2 that death, the idea of death, is very supernatural. Like we see this scene with Todd where there is like a ghostly thing in behind the mirror. We also see it a few more times in this movie, and I will point them out to you, where again, death is just like kind of this ominous shadow, which makes him more of a supernatural thing. Alright, y'all, I'm mixing my gelatin. Oh, it's one big thing. I thought it was gonna be like little droppers. Oh no. This is gonna be tough because it's a full, I thought it was gonna be like a little dropper thing, which is what I was kind of hoping for, but we will work with it, I guess. That looks like blood. What do you think? I can make that work. I'm gonna let that dry. It actually looks better in person. To me, right now it kind of looks a little gimmicky, but it actually looks a little bit better in person. One thing that these movies do absolutely great is causing anxiety and tension in the viewer if you haven't seen these movies before. If you don't know what is coming, it gives a great sense of questioning what is going to kill this person. Because for some reason, death cannot just give these people a random brain aneurysm or a random heart attack. It has to be dramatic and messy. And I think that these movies do that very well, especially in at least in the first 2. No, maybe even in the third one. I'm thinking of a particular scene in the third one where it does it really well too. So the sequence of events for Todd's death. The mysterious water trail follows him. He takes off his mom's lingerie, and therefore he slips on the mysterious water. He slips on the lingerie round, which spins around his neck 2 or 3 times, and causes him to fall in the tub, which then some shampoo bottles fall in the tub, which makes the ground slip, and he strangles to death. And then Death literally says, "Y'all didn't see anything," and slips the water back away. Which leads the authorities to think that it was a suicide. Even though later on we learn that Todd, that there are, claw marks on his throat. Well, not claw marks, like he's like trying to grab at his throat. There's evidence that he was trying to grab at his throat, but nope, they still claim it as a suicide. These investigators are idiots. Alex is getting all of these signs. There's a hoot hoot in the window. And so Alex throws the newspaper at it, and it's all over the place, and it reads Todd. So he's like, "Oh my god, is this a message for me?" This is where we start to learn that yes, death can send you messages or has signs for you to go to try to avoid it. So yes, Alex runs over to Todd's house, and he already finds Clear there. Clear. He already finds Clear there. This is why I don't like the word clear. He finds Clear there. Why the fuck is she already there? Oh, never mind, she's gone. Dust in the wind, never mind. So Alex goes and visits her for some reason. Honestly, probably because she was there and he doesn't know why. And he keeps on asking her, like, why were you there last night? You know, you disappeared, you didn't tell me why you were there. Why were you there last night? And she never answers that question.
Oh, you were at Todd's house last night.
Why were you there last night?
Do you know what this is?
This is
It's you. It's how you make me feel.
Okay, real talk. Have they ever had a conversation before this one? The answer is no. Clear confirms it. They've never had a conversation before this one. So my guess is that she has some kind of reverse Stockholm syndrome. I actually tried to look it up to see if there's like a... Because there is a thing where if you're in a traumatic event, and let's say a paramedic or a firefighter or whoever saves your life, there is an event where your brain will kind of fall in love with that person. I think that's a real thing. It would make sense, right? They saved you, like, oh my god, I owe my life to them. I don't know what that's called. I tried to look it up, so I'm just going to call it reverse Stockholm Syndrome. I think that's what Clear has. She talks about how she can feel I felt what you felt kind of a thing. Honey, that's called panic and anxiety from somebody saying that the plane you are currently on is going to blow up. But yeah, so Claire is all like, I felt you that day. Like, I felt what you felt. Okay, all right. Like I said, their relationship really didn't make sense to me. But whatever. They eventually do end up as a couple, even though it doesn't really show until much, much later in the movie where she calls him baby. But it doesn't even seem like they really were to... I don't know. Moving on, I don't know when or where or how they became a couple, but eventually they do. So Claire decides to break into the morgue, well, Claire and Todd, or not Todd, Alex, to see Todd. Claire and Alex decide to break into the morgue where Todd is being kept to go see Todd. I guess they want to see clues. I don't know what clues they're looking for, but she's all like, well, let's go see him. Like, because I think Alex says, well, let's go see, I wish I could see Todd one more time or whatever. She's like, well, let's go see him. All right, so they go see Todd, I guess. And this is the first time we see the morgue guy, who I will from now until the end of time call him Death. Because you cannot convince me at any point that this character is not supposed to be Death itself.
I'm his friend, and
I know who you are. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes. I'll see you soon.
He knows everybody's name, and everybody's like, how did you know my name? Well, I'm Death, bitch. I know your name. I know that you foiled my design and all of this shit. Like, I know who you are, and I'm gonna get you. But yeah, so they meet Death. I'm just gonna call him Death. And Death is not concerned at all with two teenagers breaking into the, what are those places called? The morgue? He's not concerned at all about two teenagers breaking into the morgue. And did you just come out of a cave?
Please.
Death, this is no time for spelunking. We have children to kill. So this is where we end up getting the whole premise for the entire series. And don't worry, they repeat it several more times, especially in the first two movies, or in the first three movies. No, in the first three. They repeat this idea so long. So even if you came in at the second or third movie as your first movie, you knew exactly what was going on, because they repeat this premise so much. And it is that Death has a design and plan for all of us. And if you foiled that plan in any way, such as Alex did, he got 7 people, I think it was 7. He got 7 people off of the plane who were supposed to die. If you foil Death's plan in any way, it doesn't matter, because he's still gonna get you. But he's also gonna do it in the most gruesome way possible, because again, Death can't just have you have a heart attack or a clogged artery or whatever. No. He needs to be dramatic.
I'll see you soon.
However, if you recognize the signs of death, you can potentially avoid it. But my question is, for how long? Are you just going to live your entire life reading these signs and escaping death every single time? I mean, what kind of life is that? It doesn't really seem like much of a life, but that's what you gotta do, I guess. So after the morgue, after they learn about, you know, the whole Death's design thing, they brave the streets to go to a coffee shop. And then Clear starts to make sense for the first and only time in these movies. You know, you can't keep looking for signs in every mundane thing. And she uses the example of the coffee that they are currently drinking.
Unless we open ourselves up to the signs it's willing to show us.
Total bullshit. I mean, you can find death omens anywhere you want to. Coffee. Starts with a C and ends with an E. So does the word choke. So what, we're gonna choke to death? We'll go nuts if you start with this shit.
But Alex isn't listening because he has another vision of a bus in a window. And just as that happens, Carter and Terry, his girlfriend, pull up.
Hey, baby, come on, not now.
And Carter just absolutely hates Alex. I'm not sure why, but, you know, he just has a vendetta against Alex, and so he tries to fight Alex.
Wait, and you probably are not gonna believe
And now
it.
she's gotta move.
All
because of Brownie!
Enough!
Oh, and Billy and the teacher are also there? So, my question to Mr. Tony Todd Death is, why don't you just take them all out right there? Problem solved. Then you could get on with your death, I guess. But no, he needs to make it messy and gory. And so while Carter is arguing with Alex and being like, hey, you're making our teacher need to move because Miss Luton is moving, Terry gets smashed with the bus.
Then you can just drop fucking dead.
And I told y'all once, I told y'all 1,000 times, quit walking backwards. I mean, that would have solved all their problems. Also, maybe if the bus driver was paying attention, maybe he wouldn't have hit a person. But Alex goes home, and, you know, that coffee gave him some heartburn. So he's taking some Alka-Seltzer. There's nothing important that happened in that day. Just the coffee. The coffee gave him heartburn. I'm pretty sure you would be absolutely traumatized if a person you knew, you don't even have to be friends with them, even if a stranger walking down the street eventually got literally splattered all over your face, you would be kind of like shell-shocked, right? I guess not Alex. He's used to this already. My hands are gonna be so red. I'm gonna have to I don't even know. I'm gonna have to do something with them. They're so red. There we go. Alright. So while he's home drinking his Alka-Seltzer, Clear keeps calling him, and his dad says as much, and he's all like, well, why don't you call her back?
Is Alex there?
Oh, hi, Claire. Yeah, just a minute.
Why won't you talk to her?
Well, Dad, she's kind of crazy. You know, she says that she feels me. We're not even dating yet, I don't think. Maybe Clear made that decision for him that we are dating, actually. So while he's ignoring his calls from Clear, there is another news story on the news that talks about the engine failures of the flight.
A spark in the fuel switch beneath the coach cabin in the fuselage may have ignited the fuel line and proceeded to the fuel pump, which would have set off the catastrophic explosion.
I don't think planes or news reports would usually do this, but for the plot, it does show the path in which the explosions would have occurred. So that way everybody's family member can be like, oh good, my son and or daughter and or whatever died this way. That's nice. But for the plot, it gives Alex a reason to say, well, now I know how the path would have gone.
Path of the explosion. Okay, first was Todd. Then was Terry. Die in the order they would have died.
I'm trying the creamsicle one now. I'm excited. It's okay. So he knows basically who is next, because if Death has design, he already knows that 2 people have died. Right? 2 people? Yeah, 2 people have died. And they died in the order of which they would have died originally. Which I have a grievance with, at least in this movie. I have a grievance with this movie. So my grievance is, if Todd was supposed to die first because of the path of the explosions, right? Why wouldn't have Alex have died with him? Because it's not like there's going to be an explosion right here and nobody beside me is going to be affected, right? So now we have a plan in place, and now we know who is supposed to be next. And who is next is supposed to be Mrs. Luton. This poor teacher is so traumatized by, you know, seeing her students that she has taught for a year or whatever, seeing them die. She's traumatized. And so she, like I said, she is planning on moving. So there is this pretty funny scene where Alex figures out that she's next, and, you know, he wants to make sure that she is safe. So he's like stalking her house. So she says something along the lines of, you know, basically she doesn't feel safe and now she feels nothing but fear. And then she looks outside and sees Alex literally stalking outside of her yard.
Just looking at my own front yard makes me feel nothing but fear.
She thinks that he is a fucking psycho because it's literally like wherever this kid goes, death is following him. So it would make sense that she would be a little bit concerned, which she should be. Let's see if I can see. And we know he's just trying to keep her safe, but to a terrified teacher who has seen multiple students, well, I guess not multiple, who just saw one of her students get splattered on her, she's pretty fucking freaked out. And she actually does what I keep telling everybody to do, and she calls the police. But that actually probably is the reason for her demise, because Alex isn't there to save her. So the sequence of events that caused Mrs. Luton's death is that the spooky shadow appears, so we know that death is lurking around because she's supposed to be next. So this teacher is so traumatized that she freaks out from the high school logo that all of the students were from. That's real trauma right there. She makes some tea. That's where we see the shadowy figure. Once it gets ready, she pours it into the mug. That then makes her freak out. She splashes it away because she's that traumatized by the events. So she puts some ice cold vodka in the now very hot cup, which causes a crack. The crack then leads all of this vodka trail that she definitely would have noticed in normal circumstances. It leaves a trail of vodka to follow her. Some of the vodka gets into the turned off computer. The turned off computer then explodes and slices her neck. And because of the sparks, you know, the exploding from the turned off computer, I want to emphasize it is turned off. Once the explosion happens from the turned off computer, it follows the trail from the vodka that she definitely didn't notice. And I think she gets exploded down. I don't remember how she actually gets down, but she is now on the ground and she tries to reach for the towel. But she obviously didn't take those safety classes that pulled up in the van in elementary school that taught you about safety things in everyday houses, like don't put a lamp or don't put clothing on a hot lamp because it could cause a fire, those kind of things. Did anybody else remember those? I feel like I'm having a fever dream because I couldn't find any information about it. Anyway, she must have skipped that day because she has a towel on top of sharp objects. So when she pulls down the towel, it then releases all of these sharp objects and it goes into her chest. But death isn't done with her because she is still alive. So Alex goes in like the sweet summer child that he is. And he's like, Mrs. Luton, I will help you. But then there is another explosion where a chair pushes the knife in further, which does kill her. But then Alex, such a sweet boy, he grabs the knife, yanks it out.
Idiot!
Still sees that doesn't do anything. She's still very dead. And runs away. And I think that this scene has kind of been memed a lot. And it's where Alex is running out and Billy, he sees Alex running out of a house, and then it explodes. So that's not suspicious at all.
Suspicious. Keep an eye on him.
So now there are 4 survivors remaining. And once Carter finds out that he is actually supposed to be next after Mrs. Luton, he kind of goes a little crazy. Carter is the type of person to be like, I control my destiny type of thing, you know. Death isn't gonna come for me, I'm gonna come for death type of a thing.
Really?
Carter, what are you doing?
Slow down, Carter! Fuck you! I'm not afraid! Alright? I decide when it's time. I control my life. I control my death.
He runs his car onto a train track. Everybody's like, get me out of this fucking car. And Carter is trying to be all big and bad, and he goes,
It ain't my time.
He's like, well, I'm just gonna sit here kind of until the last minute and then be all like, it's not my time, and then just get out. But Death is like, yes it is.
I can't get out!
And so he almost gets smashed, but Alex helps him and gets him out of the car just in the nick of time. Because of that, Billy then dies.
You're dead! You're dead!
This is where it kind of gets confusing between the intervening and skipping lives type of thing. It gets a little confusing because it's the whole idea that because Alex intervened with Carter's death, now Death skips Carter and goes to Billy. So instead of Carter dying, Billy then gets to realize what it's like to live without half of his head. So it is revealed that Alex is supposed to be after Billy. And so he's supposed to be in this safe house. Okay. This quote-unquote safe house is ultimately an absolute death trap. He tries to death-proof this cabin with a kerosene lamp for one, and then this scene happens.
Tetanus.
Tetanus? Honey, Death would never be so subtle.
I overlooked it.
And I also love the part where he's like, I overlooked it. This whole place is a death trap. My God, you're having to like corkscrew nails and all that. Okay. Yep, you overlooked this one thing of tetanus rather than the hook going into your eye and ripping your face off. Like that's ultimately what Death probably would have had planned for you. Because again, Death is not subtle in these movies. It turns out Clear is actually supposed to be next, and it's supposed to be something along the lines of him switching seats, which I honestly do not understand. Because you don't think Death would have thought of that? Like, Death wouldn't have accounted with you trading seats with these two people. He's kind of all-knowing, in a way, I guess. Except for these special people that get to see the premonitions or whatever, or the signs, whatever. But yeah, so, Death overlooked? No, I don't think so, but whatever. So we're just going along with the plot. So Clear is supposed to actually be next. So Death is coming in a way of a thunderstorm. Clear saves her dog, which good on her because, if there's one thing about me, I don't believe in trigger warnings. That's one thing about me. I do not believe in trigger warnings. However, unless they come with animal deaths, which this movie does not. So, yeah, so Clear saves her dog. And he's like, fuck this, I'm out. Ultimately, the electricity follows her and then traps her in her car. And this is where Alex essentially sacrifices himself and grabs the power line that turned off Clear's car because, you know, it drained the battery or whatever, or overheat. Whatever electricity does, I don't know. I'm not an electrician. I'm not an electrician. So whatever electricity does, it made her car die. So he grabs the power line so that she could then get out so that, you know, the electricity isn't like coursing through the car. She gets out and he obviously gets electrocuted. But we jump to 6 months later and Alex is fine. So this is the only part where, like, you know, the FBI agents kind of had a purpose because they were there. They were following him. They were following him throughout the whole movie, but they weren't doing anything. They were just like, oh, this kid was at this scene. That's why I didn't mention them. It didn't make much point to the story until this part. So they are following him, and I can only assume that they kind of like revived him after he is electrocuted somehow, however that works. But yeah, so we jump to 6 months later, and Alex, Clear, and Carter, the 3 survivors, are now back on a goddamn plane going to Paris. You could not get me in 50 feet of a airport if these events had happened. Fuck, I'll fucking row. I'll row to Paris if I really wanted to go that badly. And they are at a table having a drink and, you know, being all like, to all of our friends.
To Terry. Yeah. To Todd.
To all of our friends, I can't be here.
Except for Billy.
Carter, you dick!
Alex starts to talk about the order again, and it's obvious that he has brought this up multiple times because both Clear and Carter are like, oh god, this again. But he's like, no, hold on. Let me just, hold on. And while discussing this, Alex gets the tingling feeling of death around. And he realizes that death is actually still kind of wandering around. They haven't beaten anything. Like, you know, because that's another big thing of these movies is like, you know, ultimately there is at least one person who will be like, oh, I beat it. But then they find out they didn't, and they're still on Death's list. So they're still on Death's list. He tries to walk away, but then Death does his deathy things.
Stay away.
And makes this sign fall and try to crash into him, but Carter saves him. And so then the question is like, well, who's next? And then you can tell that Carter is going to be hit by the sign, but then it fades to black.
So who's next?
Leaving in this movie, Clear and Alex's fate up in the air. So that was the first movie. Do we like this? I don't know. It was supposed to be Todd. You know, the whole strangulation thing, it was supposed to be Todd. Yeah, I guess I could make it tighter, but you know what? Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, it was like I have these planned out, obviously, but you know, the thing in the head is obviously much better than in execution. Let me try to like. Again, it kind of looks better in person than it does on camera. Because I only have a webcam, a Logi, I don't know, Logi. I only have that kind of webcam. It is not a great webcam. So, yeah, it's supposed to be Todd being strangled. Alright, we're on to the next one.
I'm gonna be a boxing blueberry.